Okay, good morning. Thanks so much for joining us here at the Network Breakfast. And I'm going to take this opportunity to wish each of our contestants today a good morning, and they'll tell us about 30 seconds or so about themselves, and then we'll move on to how to lock down your Wi-Fi and protect your home network, okay? So we're going to say good morning, first of all, to Mike Bentley. Good morning, Mike Bentley.
Good morning. I'm Mike Bentley from the Brooks and Stafford Company. I am your insurance professional to take you from the cold, frigid insurance problems that you have to a sunny, welcome beach Beautiful. Of life. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks for being here. We're going to say good morning to the lovely and talented Trina Gigax. Good morning, Trina.
Good morning. Thank you for the introduction. My name's Trina Gigax. I'm a copy editor. I ensure that your writing is clear and concise, and that there's no reason for your reader to either put that down and stop reading or to click off your website. Good writing is the key to having somebody stay with you and hopefully buy from you. And my company's Fresh Eyes Reading.
Perfect. Thank you, Trina. Thanks for being here. We're going to say good morning and see if we can't see him, but we can sure hear him. Good morning, Ray Antonelli.
Morning, everyone. It's good to I don't know whether it's meet you or see you or whatever, but I'm here today because of the subject matter. I'm very interested in lock down your Wi-Fi. I am a security bug myself, constantly paying attention to things like that. I happen to be a reverse mortgage specialist. Obviously, I'm licensed to do any type of loan, but I specialize in reverse mortgages for seniors. About 85% of the reverse mortgages I do, the seniors are going backwards every month. And because of a reverse mortgage, that basically is fixed right away. So if anybody has anybody that they need a reverse mortgage or potentially need a reverse mortgage, please let me know. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Ray. And thanks for being here. Now we're going to say good morning to Lee Jackson. Good morning, Lee.
Good morning, Network Breakfast Nation. My name is Lee Jackson, as Tom's mentioned. I'm currently with Jackson Consulting Services. However, I am in transition looking for a full-time position that will leverage my leadership experience in the healthcare field and my network connections to help the senior service industry. Recently, I've been doing a lot of work for a home care company, providing a lot as a sounding board for the owner to help diversify and broaden his opportunities and better position his business, explosive growth in the COVID environment. And quite honestly, he's been very successful. I'm looking to meet with owners, executive teams, leadership of senior service organizations, and those who serve leaders. I'd love to discuss with some of those folks some out-of-the-box ideas that I have and some out-of-the-box ideas they have on things that we can work together on or places where I could possibly be employed by. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Lee. Thanks for being here. We're going to say good morning to Chris Walters. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning. Chris Walters with See-Through Windows. I provide vinyl replacement windows and patio doors. At this time, I cover a territory from Port Clinton to the Pennsylvania border, Cleveland to Canton. We also install and right now we're in a situation where it's imperative if anybody's looking for windows. I just placed some orders yesterday and I got a May 5th delivery. And it's shocking to a lot of people. And I put out an email about this. The window manufacturers are just in a mess right now. Thank you.
Okay, Chris, thanks so much for being here. And as we say, last but not least, we're going to say good morning to Jeff Hexter. Good morning, Jeff.
Tom, you haven't done yours.
Yeah.
I'm Jeff Hexter with Always Keep Computing. I work with the home and the small office user who is stuck with their technology problems and have run out of people to ask for help. I love working with people who have faulty Wi-Fi in their homes and printers aren't printing and computers are not behaving. One of the things that I do is every Wednesday, I grab a table at Jack's Deli over at the corner of Cedar and Green. I'm there from 9 to 11, and I answer computer questions for whoever. If you know people that have some questions and they want breakfast, send them to Jack's on Wednesday mornings. Have them join me. I'll be happy to talk with them. Jeff Hexter, Always Keep Computing. We pull out our hair so you don't have to.
Excellent. Thanks, Jeff. And of course, as always, thanks for going to Jack's on Wednesday morning at 9. It's a wonderful service, and I'm sure the camaraderie is worth the trip. So Jack's Deli, Wednesday morning at 9, Jeff Hexter, and go bring your laptop and let him, I don't know, swap out your hard drive or whatever. So in any case, we're going to move on, and we're going to talk about how to lock down your Wi-Fi and protect your home. And as I mentioned earlier, this is gleaned from an article from December 19th of 2020 by Kim Commando, and she's very popular in podcasts and weekend radio show. And anyway, so she lists these things, and I'm going to go over some of the things that she thinks are important, and hopefully you do too. And so at any time during this, if we come to a spot where you say, oh, wait a minute, what does that mean, or whatever, let's look into it, because we have plenty of time to discuss each of these four things. So let's. I'm going to share the screen, and I put the four main things as bullet points. So I'm going to share the screen and put this up, and we'll read it together. There is no sound, so I don't have to put a check mark there. Thanks for the reminder, Jeff. Okay, so how to lock down your Wi-Fi and protect your home. Wi-Fi security. You see this person has a phone up there. So you're at home and you're using your Wi-Fi, so you could save on your data from your cellular, for example. And once again, just a reminder, it's from the original article by Kim Commando from December 19th, 2020. So now we'll hit this, and I'll hit this. Okay, so the four things are: get a list of everything using your network. Now you're wondering how to do that, and we'll jump into that as we go. I just want to get these four bullet points out there. Get a list of everything using your network, because if you have a bunch of Google Homes, you have Amazon Echoes, Echo Show, Echo Dots, all of those kinds of things. Those are all on your Wi-Fi network, as well as, in my case, I have my my lights, the outdoor lights are on my Wi-Fi network, and my sprinkler system is on my Wi-Fi network. So all of that is going to be listed in your Wi-Fi network, and we'll talk a little about how to view that, and maybe make sure that nobody is logging into your network that's unauthorized. So, and number two is lock out unauthorized users. There's a way to do that, and we're going to go over, for example, you have probably at least a 2-channel router, 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. And in some cases, as in my case, I have a Nighthawk, which is a tri-band, and there's ways of locking out unauthorized users. Okay. And number three is a clever idea to set up another network. And you're wondering, now, what do you mean another network? Well, there's a way to make on your router another network would be, for example, a guest network, so that when somebody's over your house and they say they want to use your Wi-Fi rather than using data, rather than using their own cellular data to be on the internet, they want to get on your Wi-Fi. And if you give them your main Wi-Fi SSID key or password, well, that's one more less secure way of keeping your network secured. So let's think about using that feature of setting up a guest network. And number four is turn off the ability for others to access your router. Some of you may have people logging into your computer if you need help or whatever, and Dell will give you an address to go to and click on, and they'll get into your machine. Well, there's a way to get into your router the same way, and you turn off the ability for others to access your router. So we'll look at these 4 things and we'll see as we go. So number 1, get a list of everything using your network. A bullet point would be, first, you want to log into your router's administration console. You will log into your router the same way you'd log into any computer. If you have the manual that came with the router, it'll tell you how to get into that router. It'll give you an IP address, for example, and it'll give you the SSID, and it'll also give you the default password, unless, of course, you've changed that. You should ensure your device is connected to your router so that whatever you use to log into your router's got to be on the same network, whether it's wired or wireless. And it doesn't matter whether it's wired or wireless, it's the same connection. You open a browser and type in the router's IP address, and you could find that using your original manual, or sometimes if you look at the bottom of your router, it'll give you all that information. The IP address is a set of numbers, and the default depends on your router's manufacturer. Common IP addresses for wireless routers, for example, and don't be afraid of these numbers. These are something that when you start dealing with this stuff, it becomes second nature. For example, 192.168.1.1. That is like 90% of routers out there, wireless routers, are going to have that IP address. Now, there's going to be minor differences, like, for example, instead of 1.1, it could be 0.1. But you'll know by the manual. And if not, just look it up on Google. Get the exact model number of your router, and let's see what your IP address is so that you could log in. Once you're in, check the DHCP list. That's the dynamic host, meaning all your devices could use different IP addresses. That's dynamic rather than static IP addresses. There's going to be some devices that will be recommended when you bought them to make them static IP addresses. For example, it would be better if you had a networked RAID drive, hard drive that's plugged into your router. It would be better if that was a static IP address, so it's always where you think it is. For example, you should recognize your main computer's name, and your tablet or smartphone should have the name of the manufacturer model. And you'll see that once you log into your router. If you can't make sense of the list or identity of certain devices, turn off each gadget one by one, and they'll disappear from your router's attached device list. Okay? Because what we're doing is we're seeing who's on your wireless network. It's important to know. So, you can also disable each gadget's Wi-Fi so that you could go into your phone, turn off your Wi-Fi, and that'll disappear from your router as you're logged in. And then jot down these network details or take a quick picture using your smartphone so you can reference them later. If you switched everything off and still see unknown gadgets, you know you have a culprit. There's somebody on there that maybe shouldn't be. Once you have identified all your devices, now we have some others, and we don't want to do that. So now at the bottom of my first panel here, an easy way of logging into all of this and seeing what your wireless network looks like. Kim Commando provided a download of a program called Wireless Network Watcher. It's free and it works. You load it onto your tablet or your phone or your computer, and it will check your Wi-Fi, whatever Wi-Fi's are available, and it'll allow you to see what your Wi-Fi contents are. so that if you have 6 devices at home, you have a smart TV, you have your telephone, your smartphone, and you have a game box, and for example, and there's 6 devices, and yet you look on this wireless network watcher and there's 10 things there, you should really identify them, because you may have somebody who is stealing your internet, for example. If the security is low, somebody will be able to figure it out. Okay, so wireless network watcher, and the address for that. I don't expect you to actually copy this or remember it, but I just wanted to show you that this Kim Commando at her website is allowing this for a download of See Who is Stealing Your Internet, and it's called Wireless Network Watcher. You could go to Google or DuckDuckGo and type Wireless Network Watcher and get this little program that will allow you to see your network without actually logging into your router. It's a good way to start, and it's a good way to see who's actually on your wireless network. All right, we'll move on to number 2. Lock out on unauthorized users. You may find intruders or you may not. Either way, you can protect your Wi-Fi connection and your data by encrypting your connection. Every router on the market offers several encryption options. One type to avoid, we were talking about this earlier, one type to avoid is Wired Equivalency Protocol, WEP. It's outdated and it's easy to circumvent. For example, if you had a very old router, this could have been the way the security was done, which means you should really start looking into getting a new router. In fact, any router that's older than, say, 3 years, you should look into getting another one. They're much more secure now, and they carry the load of your Wi-Fi devices much better. Look for an encryption that starts with WPA2, the most recent of those being WPA2-PSK. When you try to get on a wireless network, it's gonna ask for this type of security, and you'll be needing to know what your SSID is, of course, and you'll need to know what your encryption, what your network key is. The WPA2 family of encryption should protect your router from any run-of-the-mill hacker. The major guys that know how to do all of this, that's not going to stop them. But for the person that's driving by or pulls in front of your house and sees that your Wi-Fi is open, they're not going to be able to get on with a WPA2. So now we need to lock out unauthorized viewers. Your network may already be encrypted, yet outsiders are still accessing your Wi-Fi. If so, change your password, your SSID password. You can also reset your router to factory settings. There's a little reset button that you need to press in the back of your router that says reset. You'll need to ruin a paperclip and click that, and it'll be just like if you just took it out of the box. So your security is back to where it was in the beginning, and nobody would be able to hack it, at least at that point. If you do that, you can reset your router to factory and set up your Wi-Fi signal from scratch. That might be a good thing to do. This step means changing the default password, enabling encryption, picking a new SSID, and turning off any remote management features. Just remember, if you change your encryption password, you'll have to update the password on all your devices as well. So if you have 30 devices and you change your SSID password, each of those devices will have to be reconnected using the new SSID password. So that's something to consider. Okay, we'll move on to the next one here. Number 3, clever idea to set up another network. Friends and family always want to use your Wi-Fi. They show up and they say, hey, listen, what's your Wi-Fi? So they politely ask with their phone in their hand because they hate to burn up their data plans when they can use your connection. Instead of handing them your real password, use your router's guest network. This feature lets you share your internet connection with your guests while keeping them off your main network, preventing them from seeing your shared files and services. To avoid confusion with your main network, set up your guest network with a different network name so that the SSID will be different for your guest network, okay? Although the guest network is available to guests, maintain the same level of security as your primary network. This means developing a strong password and restricting access to your shared files and devices. Make sure that local access is set to off, which will prevent guests from tampering with your system. And let's see. So if you want a really cool tip, you don't have to give out your password at all. And there is a way that you could share your network's password using what's known as a QR code. If you're all aware of QR codes, like from somebody's business card or from a flyer you get in the mail, you can actually use a QR code instead of typing in an SSID and a network key. Okay, which is very interesting, and we could talk about that if somebody wants to ask about it. I got to move on here. We're going to do one more. Boom. Turn off the ability for others to access your router. Remote administration is a feature that allows you to log into your router over the internet and manage it. If you've ever called tech support, you may have experienced something similar. A faraway technician speaks with you on the phone, then operates your computer as if he's sitting right next to you. Remote administration is a handy tool, especially when you need to fix a problem, but it leaves your computer vulnerable to hackers. Unless you need it, turn this feature off. While you've logged into your router, turn the remote administration feature off. You can find this under your router settings, usually under the remote administration heading. You can always switch it on again if the need arises, if you need to log in from somewhere. The last thing you need is to invite strangers onto your home network. So there you are, and that's what we can get done, that you as homeowners, use as home Wi-Fi users and network administrators can help your to lock down your Wi-Fi and protect your home. There's one more thing. One last thing. Check your internet speed. Open your browser and type in speedtest.net, and it'll say Ookla. And you're going to want to check and see what your internet speed is on that particular device. You can also do this on your tablet, as well as your desktop, as well as your laptop and your smartphone. I want you to see if you're getting all the speed that you're paying for. Look and see on your bill to see what your megabits per second is. Commonly offered is 100 megabits at this point. So check and see if you are near or at or above that speed. I regularly, my internet speed is about 117. So I'm getting everything I'm paying for through Spectrum. I think when WOW becomes available on my street, I might move to them, because I'll be able to get for the same, I'm paying $69.95 for 100 megabits from Spectrum. For roughly half that, I could get like 400 megabits from WOW. Yeah, and you could get, if you want to spend $79, you could actually get a gigabit from WOW. The problem I'm seeing is that I've recommended WOW to a half a dozen customers, people, friends, and more than 2 or 3 of them have not been happy. So I'm reluctant to recommend it, and I'm not sure why that is, because they've expanded from the WOW stands for way out west, and they've expanded from all the way the West Coast all the way to here, and now they're on one of the streets near me, Ridgeberry, and they're expanding. Now it could just be the price solves everything. As soon as you sell the cheapest internet, you're going to get everybody to sign up, and that may be it. But I've had like zero problem with my Spectrum running at 100 or over 100 megabits. So I'm reluctant, even when they do show up on my street, I'm reluctant to change from Spectrum because they've been very dependable. And I'm sure you're going to find people who say that Spectrum is not good and they move to AT&T, and then AT is not good and they move back to Spectrum. But in any case, I just want you to check your internet speed, and that pretty much wraps this up. And I want to see if anybody has any comments, questions, what's going on in your Wi-Fi router. Have you ever had troubles? And but for this particular panel, I'm going to say thank you so much for your kind attention. And now we can move on and talk about, and I'll stop sharing my screen here and we'll get back to, boom. So I'm thinking when you initially, Jeff, Chris, Ray, Lee, Trina, when you initially got your router, your internet, who set it up? And do you know anything about your Wi-Fi at this point?
I know everything about my Wi-Fi at this point.
I don't. Spectrum did it.
Okay, so let's start with Chris. Chris, Spectrum came and put your modem in. Is your modem, you have one box, which
Yes.
is a modem and a Wi-Fi?
Yep.
Okay, so, and then they wrote down or they typed up what your SSID is and what your password is for Wi-Fi.
I can't remember. It's been so long.
Okay. And then I'm guessing your desktop plugs in. I don't remember.
Yep.
Okay. And is that pretty much the same with you, Lee, and the same with you, Trina? They came out and
Yeah.
set up
Yeah.
your, yeah.
Or Bruce did it.
We have AT&T came out and set up our Wi-Fi and modem. We've subsequently, my wife's really good at this stuff, and I am obviously not. She also set up a Netgear unit as well on this, and she set that up.
So when you go to look at an SSID, you get two different choices?
Yes.
Yeah. I think I remember that at Trina's house too. They had a couple of different routers, maybe three.
Yeah. The Netgear solved a lot of our problems that we were having prior to that. I mean, AT&T came out and did a million different things and had a million different solutions, and nothing worked for a long period of time.
Yeah.
We got that Netgear thing in, and all of a sudden, even with 4 heavy users at home right now using, we're doing great. So,
Do you have any idea of what your internet speed is, Lee?
I don't.
Maybe you should check it out and see, like if you're paying for 100 megabits,
Yeah.
let's see how close you're getting. Because if you're not,
Good
you
idea.
can actually call them and ask them to address the issue. Because
I
what
know
they'll do
one-
is they'll provide you. Are you getting it from AT&T or Spectrum, your internet?
AT&T.
Okay, because they're less reliable than Spectrum is, because they're providing you DSL rather than cable.
Yes. We
Yeah.
don't have cable.
Right. So Spectrum is not available at your house?
I don't know. I don't know the rationale for why we've had this or
Okay.
whatever.
Sure. Okay, so you get internet from AT&T. Anything else? Cell
No.
phones, TV.
I guess the cell phones are Verizon is through Verizon. The
Okay.
cell phones. TV we don't have anything for.
Terrific.
We don't use any
Me too.
cable or anything.
I use internet channels and I use my antenna.
Right.
Okay. And how about Ray? You there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So
Um,
what's your Wi-Fi setup at your house?
I have been blessed by 2 sons that are both IT engineers, and so I didn't have to set it up. They did. But because I am a bug about internet security, I made sure that I changed the admin from admin to something else, and I also changed the password to something much more complex and long. And however, when I buy a new phone or a new tablet or whatever, and I open it up and set it up for the first time, it always prompts me for the Wi-Fi password. And the Wi-Fi password, I found out, I just realized actually, that it is the same as the password for the router itself. Now, it is long and complex, but it's still the same. And I'm wondering if that makes a difference.
Are you speaking on the bottom of the router? It'll tell you what the SSID and password is. Is that the one you're talking about?
Well, again, even if it is on the bottom of the router is a little bit old. We don't use it. We use a different username and password for that router to log into it using the 192.168.1.1, that sort of thing.
Okay, so you're wondering why logging into your router is the same as accessing your Wi-Fi network.
Correct.
Interesting.
Passwords are the same.
That's interesting. Well, if your sons set that, why would they set that up that way?
Probably so that we remember what the password is. I mean, it is long and it is somewhat complex, but it's still easily remembered by all of us.
Yeah.
An easily remembered long password is better than no password, but reused passwords are definitely a risk.
Right.
Especially if you've got other people using your network, because if once they've got that password in their computer, if their computer gets compromised, somebody could detect, could steal the list of saved passwords on their computer. And not that you're the target, but if that password is used and they happen to be on your network, they could access your network. They could do whatever. But you could change the router's password and not change the SSID password.
Right. And
you
I would probably do that. Absolutely.
Right.
So have you given your SSID password to friends and family and guests?
No.
Okay, so it's only your immediate family that knows what that stuff is.
Yes, and that password is not reused anywhere.
Yeah.
You don't think you've given it, but suppose one of your kids had it on his computer and it got compromised.
Okay, that is a possibility, but based on what I know about my situation, I highly doubt it.
Yeah. Well, you should ask them to look into changing the login password for your router.
Right.
Yeah.
I would actually change them both if they were the same at some point.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the things you didn't list was disabling a feature called plug and play. Plug and play is a feature in most modern routers that allows devices on the network to request an incoming connection, make it open on the network. It was designed really for Xboxes so that they could make connections to the internet, and it's a really poorly designed standard. And you might want to use it, but you need to be conscious of the fact that you're using it because it does allow connections across your network that you may not want. And they found some more recent issues that allow other holes in your firewall to be placed that you don't want in there.
Yeah. Now, another thing is separating the 2.4 gigahertz with its own SSID and setting up the 5 gigahertz, which is common on a dual band router, which most are now. And some of the higher end routers are actually tri-band 3. There's a 5 gigahertz 2. Well, what's available on my Nighthawk is one SSID, and your device decides which one of the 3 it will use. The difference between the 2.4 and the 5 gigahertz, the 2.4 has a greater distance. It will go farther than the 5 gigahertz, but you can get better performance out of the 5 gigahertz, but it needs to be closer to the actual access point or the actual router, the Wi-Fi router. The 5.2 if I'm not mistaken, maybe Jeff, you can help me out on this. The 5 gigahertz 2 is an attempt to create a longer distance to connect and still have that robust speed. But in any case, don't be afraid of your Wi-Fi network. We probably should wrap it up for this Tuesday. Don't be afraid of your Wi-Fi network. Ask questions. Get your manual out. This stuff is not rocket science. You can figure this out, and you too can lock down your Wi-Fi and protect your home network. Okay. All right. So we're going to wrap it up for today. Thanks so much for dropping by. We have Ray. We have the lovely and talented Trina, and we have Chris Walters and Jeff Hexter, and of course myself. I'm Tom Basie, an IT
Jeff, I sent you a message.
and I appreciate you all being here, and we'll talk to you again next Tuesday morning. Let's see if we can't think of something else to talk about. I appreciate you being here at the Network Breakfast. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you next Tuesday morning. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.